Hey, loves. So I'm just releasing a practice kind of teaching little bundle called Fruition. And I'll tell you a bit about that. I'm going to put information about it below. As I do that, I also just wanted to take some time with you around the sacred need for orientation, because that's what this practice, I realized, ultimately meets. So the practice is, so fruition is this practice that consolidates all the sensibilities of the seasonal wheel series that I did. And what it's intended to be is a tonification practice, right? To kind of help you sort out where exactly you are so that you know what to do in order to tonify, i.e., kind of harmonize, take the right action for what's being actually called for in your being, right? That's going to lead to fruition, going to lead to the good, going to lead to um, right action in right proportion, in right timing, right? That leads to right relationship and in accord with your true nature, right? In accord with kind of this the deeper emergence of you, rather than all that often kind of swirls around that. So that is the intention of fruition. And it does that by kind of orienting you towards the seasonal wheel. So underneath, so it's not, we're not orienting through to story or to some idea of what's going on psychologically, or we're not orienting to the outside world, we're not orienting to the past, we're not orienting to who we think we are or what we think is happening or how it's always been. We're really, with fruition and with the seasonal wheel series in general, we're choosing to orient to wisdom that is beyond that, right? The seasonal, the way that life moves, the way that life renews itself and then brings itself to quietude, right? We're finding the sacred need for orientation met through sorting out where we are in this season of our being. So it's not, it helps actually to notice where you actually are seasonally. Like, for instance, right now it's between equinox and Beltane here, and there's this kind of incredible angst that has to do with the rising of life force and kind of what that does to anything that's brittle and anything that's no longer supple. It's a really kind of intense time. However, we are mirrors of that, and our days and our lives and our tides mirror that, the seasons. So, fruition is very much about kind of helping you come to a place where you can actually feel, oh, am I in a winter solstice time where there's a fallowness and there's this need? The need is actually to incubate and to just kind of protect and insulate and be in quietude and nurture there? Or am I actually in a really dynamic season, and what the need is there is to make sure that my roots and branches are equal in their reach, so that I'm not overextending, so that I'm not kind of blowing myself out, right? So each one of the turns of the wheel has that, and fruition brings those together. And I'll put all the information below about that. To speak to the sacred need for orientation generally, whether or not you get that practice or work with the seasonal ritual immersion series, I would encourage, well, one thing specifically, and then I have an invitation to offer too. There is, I think, just something really powerful in understanding that to orient, to be oriented, to know where you are and what to do is a sacred need. My definition of a sacred need that differentiates it from, your basic survival needs, is that sacred needs are needs of the soul or needs of true nature, and they are meant to guide us, right? They are part of our becoming, and they don't rest until they're met, right? But a lot of times they are diverted So your sacred need for orientation, for instance, the need to know where you are and therefore to know what to do, that need can be met and must be met, right? Otherwise it doesn't rest. However, it won't be met by control, and it won't be met by kind of certain falsities, certain kind of false orientations, like, oh, well, these are my opinions. Oh, well, this is what I believe. Oh, this is who that person is. These are what these kind of people are like. You know, this is what's happening on the global stage. You know, there's a lot of, it's very active in our world right now as a whole because there is so much disorientation. There's so much kind of moving. And there is this sacred need for orientation that it's getting diverted in all these different directions, right? And many of them look like just kind of crystallizing around a portrait or crystallizing around some kind of scaffolding of identity that's destined to fall. You know, those things are vulnerable in and of their nature, so they don't really meet the need. Because sacred needs are met by what really meets a sacred need has a substance to it that is beyond circumstance, even though it answers certain elements of our circumstance. So the sacred need to orient, a lot of times actually has to do with orienting to the fact that you're disoriented, orienting to the fact that you don't know, right? Orienting to what's really happening, which generally often is one of those two things. And then kind of being willing to sit in, okay, I don't know where to go. I don't know what the answer is. From that is where guidance will come, you know, from a deeper place, from a more whole and a more attuned and a wiser place. Then if you bypass that just to kind of orient to something that, you know, you bypass the reality that you just don't know, or the reality that you don't know where to go, or you don't know what to do, and instead of sitting in that for a moment, and really asking to be shown from inside of that place, if you bypass it, which is understandable why a lot of people do that and are doing that, you bypass it to some kind of idea, then you've really missed a harvest there, and you've missed an opportunity to have a deeper ease and peace and just a deeper sense of companioning through the unknown, which comes when you do orient to it. So that's one aspect of the sacred need to orient. And the other is just to really, you know, one of the things that kind of fuel the creation of fruition is that, like, we're aware that we're often asked to surrender, and we're aware of all the things that are outside of our own control, right? But at the same time that we're asked to surrender, or that we're out of control of things, or whatever's happening, we are still pretty much continually asked to make decisions. You know, our choice point, our will force is always present and is always needing to choose something, right? So even in the midst of the things you can't control, what are you choosing? I mean, you're choosing what you believe, you're choosing who you spend time with, you're choosing what you allow in front of your eyes and in your mind and in your thoughts, right? You're choosing, if you're wanting to tend to your emotional self, tend to your deeper nature, you're going to choose which practices or what situation or what tradition. You know, there are many, many choices that we make. And if we if we don't know where we are, then we usually don't know how, we don't really make the best choices. You know, once you can orient to where you actually are, then you can know what to do from there, because the right thing to do isn't out there, and there isn't some static definition of that. The right thing to do is whatever is the right medicine, whatever is the right action in relationship to what is actually present in the moment, right? So for instance, you know, with fruition and with the seasonal wheel series, we work beyond story. So part of what we're working to do is just soften underneath of all the circumstances and just all that can, the static that can generate, to really ask the question on a more fundamental level: what season am I resting in? And therefore, what does that season call for? So if you're in a season, a time of for instance, where you don't know, and you orient to that, you're essentially in a winter solstice time. You're in a time where it's fallow, where it's quiet, where the darkness is present. But if you, for instance, in that space, if you recognize that that's what's true, that's step one. Step two is knowing what the right action is in relationship to that. So the not right action, or the one that usually creates a lot of disharmony, is to kind of generate a lot of activity from that place, trying to figure it out, trying to get comfortable, trying to whatever, trying to fix it, trying to fill it up with flowers. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. But the reality is, the season is fallow, and the medicine and the life that's in that season is the life that's found in incubation, in the nourishment of darkness, in the restoration of silence, right? And so with this series, and in general, just what I'm inviting you into, is to consider that if you are willing to know and orient to what you really are, knowing that there's a place for everything on the seasonal wheel. You can be exhausted, you can be ecstatic, you can be just getting a tiny glimmer of what your new life might be. You could be putting your entire life to rest. You could be feeling so cherished and juicy and just so alive, or you could be feeling that slight different feeling of like ripened and mature and resting into the harvest, right? There are within the seasonal wheel, which is then attuned to and informed by the greater movement of creation, which is why it's trustworthy, right? Which is a lot of what we're looking for. Where are the pure, simple, trustworthy wisdoms? Especially in a time like this, especially when there's a lot of disorientation. So coming back around from all that is just to say that the two things are to know where you are, and then to know what to do. And how you know what to do is that it's in right relationship to where you actually are. So I welcome you to explore fruition. That's what this is. And if it's included for free if you get the entire series, which is, I discounted all the seasonal wheel series because I think they're so important and because the seasons are ongoing. But so that whole series is discounted, and fruition comes for free if you get the whole series, because it's also intended to just help you locate yourself so that you would know which one of the immersions to really go toward. Like, oh, I see. This is a first light, first milk, Imbolc kind of time that I'm in. I'm going to go towards that immersion. I'm going to work with that. I'm going to really support myself in this place. But so whether or not you do that, though, I feel like even just allowing yourself to just be honest with where you are, and to understand that it's often common to be in a place where you don't know, and to orient to that allows the right action to come. It's a moment of sitting in truth and sitting in what you really are without any need to change it, without any need to justify it, without any need to give it a place in all the things that are going on, right? As if you are attuning to a force of nature, which you are. You're attuning to your true nature, and you're attuning to the becoming that is happening through you, right? And just sometimes needs some space from all the static and all of the complexity that comes around what is usually actually a very simple movement. So I would offer that just as an invitation to just consider that to orient is a sacred need. If you really accept that and turn toward it, then you won't be as tempted to unconsciously go into control, kind of portraits of yourself, grasping, identities, projections of other people, you will be more in tune with the specific sacred need that you have, and more engaged with meeting that, which is going to bring everything, you and everything around you, into a deeper harmony. That's what holy wisdom does, right? It will bring everything around you into right proportion, right relationship, right action, and right timing, right? Through you. I mean, this is this is how we can, by tending to ourselves, tend to our world, right? The other invitation I would offer is that there's a practice from her mystery school, and it's not a guided practice. It's just something that I invite them to do and that I do when I can remember to do it, like today, which is, if you want to come into, if you notice that you're in a lot of stories, like you're, and usually they're kind of conflicting and a little confusing, like, why do I feel this way? Do I feel this way because this is happening in my relationship, or because this is happening in the world, or because of this my past trauma, or is this happening because I need to, in my case, I need to just destroy everything in my life and start over? There can be this, when an energy is building or when there's change, that it can be like that. And so one way to work with that is to, especially when you're just like, it's like you get into those times maybe where you don't even know what to do. I'm like, I don't even know what to do. Do I work with my anger? Do I have a conversation with my partner? Do I quit everything? Do I lean into everything? It's like it's like those kind of times. And one thing to do that can be really soothing, clarifying, and healing, and simplifying is go to nature. Go anywhere. It can be just your backyard, or could be more wild nature. I went to the park in Ashland, to the creek, and take a moment as you enter into connection with her to kind of enter a state of listening and observing, and notice when you are in contact with this nature, this place, what do you love the most about it? Like, for instance, I went to the creek, and as an example, there's so many beautiful things about the creek. There's the water, there's the stones, there's the cedars, there's the birches, there's there's the flowers now that are happening because it's spring. I mean, there's so much. But if you allow yourself to notice what is actually nourishing you there, for instance, is it the water? Or are you somehow just deeply drawn to the really tender flowers that are growing on the banks? Or are you just so struck by the color of the gold stones underneath of the moving water? And what you can do is enter a kind of, you could almost call it oracular, but you're entering a more intuitive, more felt way of sensing into what you really need. Because meeting the true nature of creation helps, there's a pure reflection there. It's not the same as often interacting with humanity, which has got a lot moving. So just go, I would invite you to do that. Go and just notice. Is it the blue of the sky? Or is it the green of the grass? Or is it like the earthy cedar smell of the tree? And really let yourself fully open to and drop into and move toward what it is that actually nourishes you there. In that, because nature is such a pure reflection, there's a pure reflection of you. And it can help you. It can help, again, to orient. And it's in a very kind of non-linear, outside of the story, outside of the circumstances, which is kind of what it needs to be if you get really blown out and kind of dispersed in a lot of that. Oh, like for me today, there was a place where the water was coming over the rocks were gray, and the water was white. There was like silver white flowing and being reflected in the water. And that, like, my eyes were drawn there, and I just took it in, right? And it was more alive to me than any of the rest of the aliveness. And there's a peace in that. And there's a deep nourishment that comes from that. And also a tonification. That was tonifying me. It was both giving me something that I needed and reflecting to me where I am. That there's a need for cultivating this clear, like silver white, cool presence or quality in my being. And although that sounds like, and it is, this is moving into the realm of a direct communion that isn't being filtered through stories and ideas and your thoughts and your mind and your strategies. Importantly, this is outside of strategy. So then and think of it as a gathering. You go and you get that, and then you take it back with you. And follow where that would lead. Like, what would it then, like, so outside of all your ideas of maybe how you're going to sort this thing out, or what you need to do next, or how you're going to make your website or whatever, or what the next thing is, outside of all your ideas, you are going towards what is going to nourish you and give you what you need in order to take the right action. It's different than really working hard to strategize what the right action is. That'll keep you here. And it's a very kind of like grindy, cyclic thing. We kind of chew on ourselves with those things. This is entering a very different state of being. And then you can follow that and follow where it goes. And inevitably, it's going to reflect into all the things that you were chewing on, but in a different way, having your being in a different place. And again, it'll help you orient to essentially what the deeper need is underneath of all the strategizing. In your present moment, there's always a deeper need that's actually present in the moment, and it gets kind of blown out into all these strategies and ideas about it. But what it is its own. It's just something that's in your being, right? So if you can orient to that, then you can take the right action for that. It's a very different action if I'm drawn to the clarity of the water, where I'm going to move to from that, knowing that it's clarity, it's kind of a certain cleansing that I need. Whereas if I had gone to the stream and I had been really drawn to the cedar and the cedar by the banks and the smell of it and the earth of it and then what I'm really needing is that kind of deep, nourishing, just earthy. I probably need to eat, that there's this like just earth nourishment for the body and for my being. That would have been more of, that would have informed me differently. And this is just one of the many, many, many ways that we can work with ourselves and our lives beyond the mind in a way that does actually work, right? It brings you into greater communion with all that is. It brings you into connection with beauty, and it brings you into a more open and deep listening to the wisdom that's in your being, that is always in your being, regardless of what disorientation or confusion or uncertainty might be there. Right? And that's what we want to keep aligning with, because that's what walks us through the walk. This is what companions us, this indwelling presence. So that's my offering for you today, an honoring of the sacred need to orient. This is not just some random, needing to know where you are and what to do is a very deep, correct, sacred need. Right? It's one that deserves to be honored and will not rest until it's met. So no wonder we chew on these things, but we want to meet that need in a way that does really answer it, right? Which won't be from all of this. So that's my invitation for you today. I'll put all the information about fruition below. I'm pretty excited about it. I feel really, this thing about orienting for me is feeling really important. And in my own personal like kind of seeing of everything, I'm like, oh yeah, we're just kind of in this place where reorienting and pivoting, reorienting again is what's being asked, and how like this skill, the skill of being able to do that, to orient to what is and to take the right action, and then to orient now to what is, and then to take that right action and to let ourselves be in this space and time where we're changing fast, and we're our beings are changing fast, and life seems to be changing fast. There is a reorientation being asked for, because we're being brought more and more to this place where we're alive. Things that have been holding things in place are falling away, and our ideas of ourselves are falling away. And so the beauty of that is that we are actually on the pulse of life now in a way that we were not before. And life is not chaos. Life is order within chaos. It's both, right? And our need to not just be blown out in a bunch of chaos and lost to ourselves and unsure is a sacred need. We do need to know where we are, because we do need to make good choices, both for ourselves and for all that we love, right? In order to bring it all to fruition, right? In order to bring it all to its fruition, whatever that fruition might be. So, thanks for spending the time with me, and I hope you have the opportunity to take yourself to somewhere of pure nature, even if it's the backyard, and just really open to how she's speaking with you, how she's reflecting you back to yourself, and let your own wisdom be shown to you through that exchange. This is it, right? To be brought into remembrance again and again. This is the path, right? Blessed be.